Good afternoon. Thank you for joining the 22nd session of the Sustainable Insight series. Firstly, I would like to introduce our organizing team from UNESCO Jakarta. My name is Karul Hazlan. I'm the MFIT coordinator. And my fellow colleagues would be Angelina Felicia, Gani Mulia, Ciptaya Matasada, and Martin Rajabungsu. Today's session will be on breaking the barrier, ensuring inclusiveness and connectivity through engineering. We proudly present Professor Shahbaz, the Director of UNESCO Regional Science Bureau for Asia and the Pacific, as the moderator. And today we have with us our distinguished guest speakers, Dato Ir Dr. Yee Cheong, Commissioner of the UN Broadband Commission for Sustainable Development, Professor Dr. Charlie Tan, President of the Myanmar Engineering Council, and Dr. Nasir Mahmood, Registrar and Secretary of the Pakistan Engineering Council. We are ready to take your questions through the Q&A box through our chat room and through our Facebook page. If you wish to receive the certificates, please fill in the attendance list, which we will share during the webinar. Please. Professor Shahbaz, the floor is yours.
Thank you, dear Hazlan, for organizing this most exciting webinar with the people I really like and colleagues I've learned from. So we have really amazing engineers with us today, and we are going to learn even more. So we are going to focus on this area. How do we break barriers? How do we get rid of these divides, which may be the digital divides, which may be the social, cultural, economic divides, and how South-South cooperation works? And in this regard, we have, of course, Dr. Dato Ir, who has spent his whole life on these ideas. Professor Charlie, a most eminent marine engineer I ever know, and has changed the course of engineering in Myanmar. And Dr. Nasir, who has the pride of performance from the President of Pakistan about the excellent work he has been doing, and also the collaboration he has done within international circles. UNESCO has benefited from his work in Myanmar. So let me start. It will be a conversation. Hopefully all of you, as usual, can join us through your questions as well as your comments. And colleagues who join us from Facebook Live, please put your comments. If we can answer some of them during the session, we will. Otherwise, you get a customized response from our eminent speakers here, our panelists. So let me start first from Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee, you have a very long association with the United Nations system. Before we think about UNESCO, you are a pioneer engineer. What motivated you to link with the UN? And can you describe your own journey? And in the process, you must have broken many barriers. You must have done many things to be more inclusive. And you have promoted engineering as the president of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations as well. Give us your story so that we get more inspired as well.
Thank you, Shahbaz. Actually, my association with the United Nations started when I was a student at the University of Adelaide. So I actually went to the University of Adelaide in 1956. And in 1957, I joined the United Nations Youth Fellowship, which was under the United Nations Association of South Australia. So from there, I've been very much interested in the UN because I think to a developing country like Malaysia, like every other developing country, the only voice that we have in the international arena is the United Nations. So despite all the faults, of the UN and things like that, internationally, the UN is all that we got. And I think that so from that day, I devoted myself to try to be as close to UN as possible. And actually the opportunity came when I became the president of the World Federation of Engineering Organization in 23. But when I was president-elect, I worked very closely with the ITSU, the International Council of, at that time, International Council of Scientific Union, and WFEO and ITSU we were the founding member of the International Science and Technology Community of the UN Commission for Sustainable Development. As you know, the UN Commission for Sustainable Development was created after the Earth Summit, and then was instrumental in what you call driving the UN World Summit on Sustainable Development in 2002 in Joburg, and also the World Summit on Information Society in 2003 in Geneva and 2005 in Tunis. So actually, I've been also personally very much interested in digital technologies. That's why I'm very glad to have been appointed by UNESCO to be a commissioner of the Broadband Commission for Sustainable Development. I would like to start by talking a little bit about the Broadband Commission, because it's not very well known what it does. The Broadband Commission actually celebrated its 10 years this year. Okay. And it was started by International Telecommunication Union and UNESCO 10 years ago. And so on today, under this current COVID-19 pandemic, we have been very lucky to have broadband internet that kept body and soul of most people on earth during the lockdown. Without internet connectivity, giving information, and then providing all the necessary things online, like education of children, about medical advice and things like that, I think this pandemic would have become a very social upheaval rather than just a health upheaval. So the Broadband Commission is now having a campaign to try to connect everyone to broadband by 2030, everyone on earth. But having the connection to broadband internet is one part. The other part, it must be that everybody is accessible to broadband. That means the cost of connection to broadband must be within the affordability of every citizen on earth. So in this what you call the advocacy, I want to report on two things. One is with the World Bank, the Broadband Commission is having a campaign or a project to connect every citizen or every country in Africa to broadband. Broadband means 3G and above by 2030, and connect every citizen in Africa or above the age of 10 to be accessible to broadband. And this is one thing that I think the World Bank has already committed $25 billion. The whole project is supposed to be costing about $110 billion. Wow. And of the $110 billion, 30% is actually devoted to capacity building. How to get Africans which are digitally illiterate become digitally proficient in order to uplift themselves. And this is where I have been getting WFEO and the International Science Council to try to help the World Bank, who is driving this project, to try to capacity build in science, technology, innovation under this what you call they call it the Africa Digital Infrastructure Moonshot Project. And then like for example, the International Science Council is offering their Open Science Initiative to help in this. I think Shahbaz, you know a lot about open science.
Open science is key initiative of UNESCO. Will be approved by the
then the other one which is about connectivity, is the ITU, UNICEF, UNESCO, the campaign to connect every school on earth to broadband internet by 2030. And again, I would like to appeal to everyone that does not know about all this initiative of the Broadband Commission to just Google the Broadband Commission and then click on the publication and get all the study report about all this.
This is really
so this is the fundamental thing that I think if we would like to get everybody connected to broadband, we must ask, what is the broadband for? So to me, the broadband is for the first 5 SDGs. The first one is called no poverty. Second one, zero hunger. Third one is what called good health and well-being. Fourth one, quality education. Fifth one, gender equality. So basically, this is what the Broadband Commission is trying to promote.
This is wonderful. Dato Ir, you have so much knowledge. Let me interrupt a little bit. So, in summary, your journey with the UN system is over 60 years. I'm not going to ask your age because you are certainly younger than most of us by your spirit and by your knowledge. So, knowledge in the way you are most into the latest knowledge. So this is very interesting journey as an electrical engineer, starting from Adelaide, becoming the president of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations, linking with the UN Office of the South-South Cooperation, linking with ITU, UNESCO, and of course, there are many other things which we will explore in a moment. But certainly this broadband connectivity has given us what would have been a big loss during this COVID situation. So let's continue to explore it further. One of the other areas you have promoted very actively is that engineers must become mobile and there should be better opportunities for engineers, and we should promote standardizing engineering qualifications irrespective of from where the engineers come, and there should be no barriers to that. Of course, there should be no barriers to the broadband, which you have very ably demonstrated. Let me come to Professor Charlie. By the way, Dato Ir is today in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and our dear Professor Charlie is in Myanmar. Where you are today, Professor Charlie, in Myanmar? Yangon? You have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I am now in Yangon. Yeah.
Okay, so you are in Yangon. Can you please tell us the engineering in Myanmar, how it has benefited from the initiatives which have come through in the region and the ideas which have been described by Dato Ir, the link with the UN system, with the Federation of Engineering Institutions in Asia Pacific. So give us a bit of ideas from the perspective of engineers in Myanmar, how they have linked with the international efforts and why it's important for engineers to link with the efforts beyond Myanmar.
Okay. And first of all, I like to explain how we develop the engineering education in our country. The first engineering program was started since 1923 in the Rangoon University. Rangoon University was established in 1920. In this year, it is a centennial. It is a coincidence with our webinar. And I like to appreciate and I like to honor to the Rangoon University for our engineering educations. And the Rangoon University was established in 1920, and the first engineering BSc engineering course was launched on 1923 and 1924 academic year. And at the time, most of the lecturers, most of the teachers came from the India, Calcutta University, and the department is only the department of the engineering, and only have one discipline at the time. And the 1928, the graduates come out from the university, and then they apply for the job in the Burma Railways and the Telegraphic Department, but they have no get the job due to the unrecognized program and unrecognized degree. At the time, the University Senate go to the India, Calcutta University, and the Indian Institute of the Engineers to apply for the recognitions. At the time, they say there's only four lecturers. It is not sufficient for the program, and then they did not recognize. And later, they appoint the more lecturers, and Indian Institute of Engineers recognized for the our program. And later it's become developed, and after Second World War, it is more developed, and now we have the 35 technical university in our country, 35 technical university in our country, and the program and disciplines around nearly 40. In this case, I like to talk my point is the how to collaborate with the region and the international. And the first ambassador is Dato Ir. Dato Ir is introduced through the AFIO to our country to introduce how to making the mobility of the engineers, how to speed up or lift up the standards of the engineering education, and come along with the FIAP, Federation of the Engineering Institute Asia and Pacific. They send the mentors and lecturers through the Institute of Engineering Malaysia, and first mentoring us for how to conducting the accreditations and how to change the requirement and the gap for our systems. And later we understand gradually, and we change some shortfall and some requirements. The main principle is we are following the basic requirement of the academic years. Initially, we have the 16 years, later 15 years. Now we have the 16 years for the graduation programs. And also we set the criteria, which was advised and suggested by the FIAP. And we become Myanmar, Yangon Technological University, and other 2 or 3 technical universities get a recognition from the FIAP in 2015 in the stage 1. And in the 2019, they have the stage 2 recognition. And also in the 2019, we become as a provisional signatory of the Washington Accord.
Yeah.
This is the...
So, FIAP, you have already graduated, is that correct?
Yes.
And how long it take you? By the way, for those people who don't know, FIAP is the Federation of Engineering Association Asia Pacific, and AFIO is ASEAN Federation of Engineering. So how long did it take you, Professor Charlie, from start with the FIAP to until you get graduation for the...
We start from the 2012, and we get the stage 2 in the 2019.
7 years.
7 years.
That's really a lot of hard work by you, and in the process you link with many. So one is with Malaysia.
Yes, one is Malaysia, and another one is the Taiwan.
Yeah.
And the another one is the PEC, Pakistan Council. Another one is Singapore.
Yeah.
Yes. And the another one is some professor from the Australia.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, this is really wonderful explanation that it takes long time and it needs linkages if we have to make our engineers to be able to go to other countries to work there, to have similar standards. So for engineers, it's very important to become international. So I will come back to you, Professor Charlie, again in a moment. You have now nicely described the role of the Pakistan Engineering Council, very important work by Dr. Nasir and colleagues. So, dear Dr. Nasir, can you please tell us more about PEC first of all and its accreditation program? And how did you link with FIAP and how did you help Myanmar? And what's the benefit for linking with Myanmar with FIAP for Pakistan?
Thank you very much, Dr. Shahbaz Khan and my other colleagues, the mentor, Dato Ir and Dr. Charlie and all others. Pakistan Engineering Council has actually a statutory body developed in 1976, long back. And the major four functions are the accreditation of engineering education, standardization, and getting recognition in line with the international standard. This was the vision written in the Act. And the second is towards the professional practice, how we can, register these engineers through a very comprehensive system of registration engineers. And third is the continuous professional development of these engineers so that they can be abreast with the new knowledge, the state-of-the-art current skills and knowledge. And they can be mobile or practice within country and abroad as well. The third is then registration and of the industry, the consultants, the contractors, and the operators. So all this, other than there are so many other functions like think tank to the federal government and engineering profession, and also safeguarding the interest of the engineers and engineering profession. In early days, in early 90s, we have been doing these accreditations mostly on the quantitative based analysis. And the first manual, I remember when I joined PEC as head of accreditation in 2007, we developed a first comprehensive accreditation manual. In line with the international guidelines, we had, like support from Engineering Council UK. Professor, I still remember, Jim Birch. He was very active, instrumental in, giving advice. And all so few other members, certainly, particularly Malaysia and Singapore, we developed. And then 2009, we make a milestone that without having a standardization and benchmarking, our engineers cannot work abroad. And if we are thinking global village, there is a need to standardize things. And then the other societies of the countries and the regions, they can allow them to work together, and also it's a win-win situation for our big populations. Especially, we were producing a lot of engineers in different 30 disciplines. We got membership first at the Asia Network NABIA in Japan in 2008, and in 2009 we entered into FIAP as well, and also we started up as an observer in the Washington Accord under International Engineering Alliance. In 2010, we got provisional signatory of the Washington Accord. And then also in 2011, we applied for FIAP, the Asia Pacific Federation. Dato Ir and all other my colleagues in Asia Pacific, including you, if you remember, we had a very good workshop when we were not full member of the FIAP and also not the WA in 2015 probably on UNESCO workshop on road to develop roadmap for engineering education standardization under the UNESCO and FIAP umbrella. And we had 2 days workshop, and we worked together on many issues, and we developed with recommendations. And accordingly, we applied FIAP, and the FIAP colleagues, they came, they reviewed a few of the universities, and we got membership on the same year. And on the same year, we applied for the full membership of Washington Accord. In 2016, we got reviewed by 3 different countries, the New Zealand, Engineering Council UK, and South Korea. They spent about 10-15 days, and they went to many different public-private universities. And finally, we declared as full signatory of the Washington Accord. And then the same time in parallel, we were working for the professional practice as well, because this was the prerequisite to get standardized education, to have substantial equivalence of the qualifications. And then we were working for the APEC and IPEA, International Professional Engineering Agreements. And by the grace of Almighty, we got also full signatory of IPA in very next year in 2018. And now we are,
Yes. I
Similarly,
have a follow-up question here, dear Dr. Nasir. How many engineers are registered with the PAC in Pakistan?
yeah, in Pakistan so far we have nearly 300,000 engineers in different disciplines.
And all of them are active engineers there, or those are the total registrations?
This is a total number. Of course, many people has gone on to the next world, and some are went to abroad. Some are doing work in other countries, especially the Gulf and Saudi, and also now Australia. Because with this mobility, Professor Dr. Shahbaz, a lot of engineers are getting job because it's being a substantial equivalent in Asia Pacific as well as in the North America.
So when
This
they
is the
go to those countries, it's easy for them to get registered in those countries. But what would be the benefit for an engineer who is just in Pakistan, who does not want to go outside of Pakistan? What would be the benefit for accreditation for those?
The accreditation is a quality actually label. Quality label to the institution. They can have proud that we have such level of graduate attributes sustained at par with the global standards. They are proud of it. And similarly, the institution as well. And similarly, the employers. When employer are hiring the WA graduates who are WA and FIAB graduates covered under UNESCO label, covered under FIAB label, covered in the WA labels. So they have more confidence. And of course, the inner side is that really they are more knowledgeable, they are more skillful, they are more ethical engineers compared to the past when we don't have standards not practiced in the institutions as well as in the society. So these are the advantages within the country.
Excellent. So it means the education standards go up, as Professor Charlie has described, and also your link with the FIAP and with also with Myanmar. That's very valuable. So thank you for explaining to us. And also this number is very important. UNESCO is working on engineering report number 2. And one of our challenges is to describe how many engineers really we need and what is the status. And without engineers, there is no sustainable development. There is no development, first of all, but of course, there should be sustainable development. Let me go back to Dato Ir again. But thank you for an excellent explanation to all three of you for starting in an excellent way. There are colleagues who are on the chat box. There are colleagues who are on the live. The format we have is you put your comment on the chat box, we will acknowledge you. Put your question in the question box, we will acknowledge you. You are all very esteemed to us. And already you are pointing some questions to some colleagues. Let me go to Dato Ir. You have created so much interest among our participants. At the moment, there are more than 150 in the Zoom, and there are many more on the Facebook Live. So eventually, thousands of people will watch us. So Dato Ir, going back to World Federation of Engineering Organization, your journey as the president there, and Malaysia you described as a developing country coming to a middle income to moving to a higher level, and development of Malaysia has really benefited from engineering. Engineers have provided so many things to where Malaysia is today. How you see this South-South cooperation through your efforts as you meet with so many exciting people in many different institutions you have worked with? What kind of enthusiasm you get among engineers and scientists and others to work with each other?
Can I just add to your question to Nasir about about standardization to international standards of engineering qualification?
Please do that.
If the Pakistani engineer doesn't want to work abroad, what is the benefit? But I think we are in an interconnected world. For example, in Pakistan, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is attracting a lot of inward engineering investment in all sectors of infrastructure, in technology park. And of course, the cheapest way for what you call a foreign investor in joint venture in a country is to employ as many of the qualified local engineers as possible, rather than getting them all from the home country. But to do that, the engineering qualification of the Pakistani engineer must be up to international standard. So it is not just about getting them to be mobile outside Pakistan, but also to get more investors in engineering projects and enterprises into Pakistan, because you have the qualified talent. Okay, so as far as South-South cooperation, actually my what you call the biggest engagement to South-South cooperation is with the establishment of ISTIC, the International Science, Technology and Innovation Center for South-South Cooperation under UNESCO, which is a UNESCO Category 2 center. And that it was set up in Malaysia, hosted by the Malaysian government in 2008. And I was the founding chairman of the governing council until 2016. So during that time, our focus was to actually how to enhance South-South cooperation in science, engineering, and technology, leading to innovation in South countries, right? So one of, I think, my most satisfying achievement during my time in ISTIC is to get FIAP together to go and visit you in Jakarta.
That was wonderful.
Because I kept on reminding FIAP that their predecessor FACIAP was started by UNESCO Jakarta office in Myanmar. Okay, so and since you are an engineer, I thought it was a wonderful opportunity to link you and FIAP and ISTIC together in trying to promote standardization of engineering education, as well as to promote mobility of engineers, not only in Asia Pacific, but also to Africa. And we were so glad that we get the support of the Malaysia UNESCO Cooperation Program. What Nasir mentioned about the 2-day workshop in Islamabad, as if you remember, was funded by MFIT.
Yeah.
So I'm very pleased that Malaysia has not only ISTIC, but Malaysian government has also been very much engaged in South-South cooperation. And I think that with the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic now, so and the America and Europe are still suffering. I think Asia Pacific will be now the driver in economic development post COVID-19 era. And one of the driver is through online digital technology and broadband internet. And of course, in this endeavor, engineers and engineering are key. So I think that engineers and engineering institution in Asia Pacific had a wonderful opportunity to actually drive South-South cooperation to Africa, to the rest of Asia, and also maybe even to Latin America.
I have two follow-ups here. One, you have mentioned, Dato Lee, in response to Dr. Nasir's response, which was also quite comprehensive. Future investment opportunities like the One Belt, One Road and the cooperation with China. What are the real benefits for engineers for such mega projects in terms of capacity building and for the broadband? So this capacity building, if you can illustrate a bit more. And being a Malaysian yourself and promoting engineering at the global level, bringing all these excellent initiatives, what's the benefit for Malaysia for doing all of this?
I think, Shahbaz, we must not think now nationally, because the COVID-19 was a global pandemic. And all of us must work together. Every nation on earth must work together to try to combat the pandemic, but also to revive the global economy, you see. So I think now we should not just think that, hey, what is in it for me personally? And what is in it for my country, you see? So like for Malaysia, Malaysia has been one of the trading nations of the world. I think we were about the 10 or the 11 in trade. So we had to be an open economy. And in the open economy, you must not say that I must only go out and capture more market. You must let other people come in and into your own country. If you can maximize your own, what you call the advantages, the local advantages, like for example, have enough capable engineers that are already very much at the front edge of technology, digital technology and all that, you attract more investment. And the foreign investment actually will enlarge the economic cake. And the economic cake will also benefit the foreigners and benefit the local. What in the Belt and Road terminology is win-win partnership. So may I just carry on about the UNESCO, FIAP, and ISTIC, the cooperation. I want to say is that now the FIAP, the presidency is recast of China under Professor Huang Wei, but the secretariat remain with IEM, with our very esteemed colleagues, Professor Cha Heng Teck, and also Secretary General Tan Yen Chin. Now, CAS has actually now decided that FIAP should drive what we call the Belt and Road Accord, because the Washington Accord has been very slow to try to promote what called the standardization of engineering organizations or engineering qualification to international standard. The number of signatories, they are very small, and as Charlie and Nasir had explained, it took too long a time. So now under FIAP, they set up a training institute for accreditation to train accreditors in Xi'an, which CAS is funding. And also CAS had also endowed the FIAP secretariat with a certain amount of money to promote the Belt and Road Accord to African countries. And I think this is a very wonderful, extension. That's why I want to say is that since the Malaysia UNESCO Cooperation Program under Malaysia Fund in Trust through you has been instrumental to promote this. You remember we even tried Tajikistan, right?
Central Asia. But
Central
there
Asia.
are some issues which we know that because of the system they are coming through.
But whatever it is, I would like MFIT to be continuing to be associated with this program, because it was initiated by MFIT. And here, since CAS and China is putting financial, resources into it, it is not about money, but just to try to associate MFIT's name so that we do not forget that this initiative is driven by ISTIC and also MFIT from Malaysia.
And ISTIC is a UNESCO Category 2 center, as you described. And the links and the benefits for Malaysia, this is really critical information for everybody. If there is a better future for everyone, of course, Malaysia also benefits. At the same time, other countries benefit. So this is the global village in which we live, and COVID has even shown it even more that how interconnected we are. So, Dato Ir, I will come back to you in a moment. Let me continue with other two colleagues.
Yes.
And Professor Charlie, come back to you. This is an interesting conversation. Each one of you can really have the full day on talking to me on this. Let me now explore with Myanmar. You have gone through a process, and both Dato Ir and myself, we are honorary members of Myanmar Engineering Society. Thank you for making us one of you. And you have now a system like Pakistan Engineering Council. You have Myanmar Engineering Council. Can you please tell us a bit more about that? And also the accreditation system you have put in place, how it is benefiting the Myanmar economy and take us along the lines where Dr. Nasir has described to us the kind of things which are happening with PEC. Where is MEC now?
Yeah, the Myanmar Engineering Council is the sole professional statutory and regulatory body, and also conduct to fulfill the obligation of the studying and assessing, the developing and changing the education systems internationally on engineering and technological education to nurture qualified engineers, qualified technologists, technicians, by taking part in the activities of promoting the positive interaction and having insight in framing the finding into the framework to be shared globally via the FIAP, via the ISTICS, via the MUCP to our country. To enable engineers all over the country to actively participate in harmony in the development, dissemination of the engineering knowledge, and in the nation building task. In this case, the first introducer in our country is the Myanmar Engineering Society, as you know. The first ambassadors, Dato Ir and the leaders from the ASEAN and Malaysia visit to the MES around 2000, and they introduced to cooperate with the experts bring from the institution of Malaysia, and mentoring us how to promoting our standards for the qualification and the competency agreements. And in this case, I like to express my deep appreciation to the Institute of Engineer Malaysia and also Board of Engineer Malaysia, who are the mentoring in the Washington Accord. And also now we are achieving some standards in the 2020. This is our progress. And also, and I remember through introduction from the FIAP, I have been to your office in the last 5 or 6 years in the Jakarta. In this case, you start support us for the accreditation and the quality education for Myanmar Engineering Society, especially for the professional engineers. And this is our story, how we come communicate with the regional and the international society. Yeah. Now at the moment, what we are doing is that we apply to become as a member of the WAFU. Myanmar Engineering Council become as an international member, and the Engineering Society become as the affiliate member. And also, we apply for hosting the standing committee for the education in engineering in the WAFU. And also, this kind of collaboration, this kind of standing is supported by the UNESCO and the ISTICS and Malaysia and the Institute of Engineer Malaysia, Board of Engineer Malaysia, and also from the AFIU. Thank you.
Well, this is really wonderful that there is a full system of improvement, and Myanmar Engineering Council is a really formal body for giving license to engineers to be able to do different type of projects. Can you, Professor Charlie, tell us a bit more? How many engineers are in Myanmar registered with MEC now?
And at the moment, we have the more than 1,000 professional engineers.
Yeah.
And another one is the 3,600 registered senior engineers, and the nearly 4,000 registered engineers, and more than the 10,000 apprentice engineers.
So to be an apprentice, what is the qualification? They need to do a bachelor degree?
Yes, bachelor degree. Yes, bachelor degree. After bachelor degree, he should be the apprentice.
And they
He
have
should
to
be
pass an exam before they become a professional engineer?
Yes, become the 7 years.
7 years.
7 years, yes.
A
7
very
years.
tough criteria. So
Yeah.
first they must have 7-year experience, then they must sit for an exam, and which is assessed for them to become professional engineer.
The first entry is a graduate engineer, and he will be the 4 years to apprentice engineers. Later, he sit the exam, and they become as a registered engineers. And after 2 years, another exam become as a registered senior engineers. Another 1 years, sit the exams and become the professional engineers. Total is 7 years. We base upon the feedback engineers, yes.
Okay, that's very useful information. Thank you very much. So there has been improvement, and of course, with the universities improving themselves, and now there is a system in process. I will come back to you, Professor Charlie, in a moment. Dear Dr. Nasir, you have very elegantly described to us the body of engineering in Pakistan is a very large one. 300,000 engineers, and engineers are very important for the development of any nation, but certainly for Pakistan, they have played a very important role. And you also described to us the role of the think tank. First, I would ask you to describe your experience of working with the Myanmar Engineering Society and Council. How did you go along? How this relationship work for South-South cooperation under FIAP? And then give us an idea, which Dato Ir has also mentioned, the new exciting investment opportunities in Pakistan, which may be realized, and the training element and the ideas related with the investment coming from China and from other countries, how engineers can capitalize on that. So over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Shahbaz. Regarding Myanmar, working with the Myanmar Engineering Council, I think Dr. Charlie is here. He can better, comment. But we have actually, it was both way learning. We shared our experience, the roadmap, the journey towards FIAB, and the journey towards International Engineering Lines. Also, Pakistan Engineering Council is member of, as I mentioned, Asia Network of Accreditation bodies, and also the deputy chair of OIC accreditation bodies under those forums. So we shared the roadmap, the difficulties, and the challenges and issues we face, so that we can share with the Myanmar and how this is. We try to build the capacity of MEC, and we try to figure out the things and share with them. And in my second visit, there was tremendous change. I mean, on the progress on the university side, progress on the MEC side regarding processes, the procedures. They are doing very fast under the leadership of course, Dr. Charlie, and he's very active not in his country, also in the FIAB and ASEAN. Regarding Dr. Shahbaz, I just like to tell you, under the FIAB, if you remember, FIAB scope has been expanded towards the African region, the Central region. You have been with us. In Africa, we start mentoring to Nigeria, Koran. It was, if you remember, Dato Ir, you have been there and you are developing and pushing the Koran. But we spent about 1 week in Nigeria in different regions, and also we try to share our experiences. And they have very frequent in a year time they are changing a lot of in their qualification framework, so that they can have national qualification framework similar to other signatories of FIAP. So there are so many similarities, but there are so many things which were not which are basic things, but not really helping Koran to become internationally player. So they are going to change, and they are bringing the working together. Kashim Ali was the leader at that time. He's not present now, but he's still supervising on the new team. Similarly, Kenya, they approached Pakistan through Professor Malina Khanga, to Malaysia also and to Pakistan, that if they can, because we are already in the African standardization, and if we can help also Kenya. So we, in the last IE meeting in the FIAP, we accepted Malina Khanga request, and we are interacting with them also. Hopefully, this is how we are, contributing under South-South cooperation to Africa. In Central Asia, you both were with us, and we have signed MOU with the Tajik Technical University, if you remember.
Yeah.
And we try to always, invite them that they should be active. And Uzbekistan in Jakarta, workshop, and you invited us. There was partners from Iran, from Central Asia, from our side, and we shared also a few big. One good thing is that one of the HEC player, Professor Sohail Naqvi, he is now the Vice Chancellor of in Central Asia universities, Central Asian University, and he is also trying to approach that if we can, through some means under FIAP, we can help also the Uzbekistan, and he trying to have some conference there. The major thing is little language barrier and some financial constraints maybe, but we will try in the second round if UNESCO and ISTIC can help, and we can approach them, reach out them so that we can pull them. Central Asia, a few example, a good successful story under South-South cooperation. Regarding our CPIC, a very successful example, we have signed MOU with CAST, the Chinese Association of Science and Technology, last year on various collaboration, exchange of students, exchange of faculty, and also mutual acceptance of our engineers and Chinese engineers, because a lot of companies are coming in, they are investing, they are ready, and according to Pakistani PEC policy, the CPEC companies, they can work in a joint venture in the JV mode. So JV mode means we have to work with our engineers should be working with the Chinese engineers. So that's another, exchange of culture, exchange of knowledge, and learning from each other, capacity building, and all other, future goals to attain together. And this Belt Road Initiative is going to have, in the longer way, economic revolutionary things, not in between the two countries, but it's a like global paradigm is coming adopted. And other things, very soon, Ministry has taken up under this CAST and PEC initiative that if FIAP or UNESCO can also enter, as Professor Dato Ir mentioned, that CAST is putting a lot of, expenses. I mean, they are trying to fund our initiatives under FIAP, which we have been doing before, but in a very concrete and focused way. CAST and PEC is already assigned to work together. Next month in November, China, under FIAP leadership, of course, China and Pakistan are going to have a 2 days workshop for many other countries. We're trying to knock other developing countries, to enhance them on the accreditations and mobility, professional competency.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so this is how we are working in many ways in Malaysia, in Africa, in Central Asia. So it's with China. It's a huge. I mean, I must recommend if we can really after having an impact analysis of all this South-South cooperation, we can have second round as well to more further improvisation.
Wonderful. This is really a great success story and your personal drive also, Dr. Nasir. We have we are 2 minutes over the 50-minute mark. If I can request 3 of you to kindly cooperate with me and give me one very concrete suggestion for future. You already have given many, so that this time I start from Dr. Nasir and move towards Dato Ir. So, Dr. Nasir, what would be your one strong recommendation for Malaysia UNESCO cooperation program or to UNESCO, which can take engineering profession to the next level and help improve sustainable development?
Thank you, Dr. Shahbaz Khan. As I mentioned briefly in my previous words, that world is moving very fast. This is the era of technology development and advancement. And if you're looking at the theme, the ensuring inclusiveness and the connectivity through engineering, we have faced the last 6-8 months many challenges, but at the same time, those challenges have really emerged as a potential among us to work together, even in the remote while sitting in the remote. We develop online virtual teaching, learning, and assessment system among the universities so that they can impart knowledge, skills Through one word, if you go to focus, if UNESCO, Malaysia cooperation can have a second round focusing towards what we have been doing before, and that has so many initiatives going on, but we have to now consolidate those things with the impact analysis, with the gaps which we have faced, and there are so many commonalities among the South-South cooperation to work together and to resolve those things with further gearing up this cooperation.
Thank you very much. Very, very full of ideas as always. So thank you very much, Dr. Nasir. We will come back to you to get more insights and help us plan the next program, certainly. Dr. Charlie, same question to you. My last question, where you would like to see UNESCO, the UN system, the engineers working with Myanmar, where can we go to the next step?
And at the moment, we have a lot of challenges. Is the lifelong learning for the engineers. Lifelong learning, how to provide, who will be provide, who will be take care of this?
Yeah.
Most of the government departments, they are concentrated on the undergraduate, postgraduates, and the up to the PhD. It's okay, but the big gap is the engineers in the working party is a problem. It is very difficult to get the lifelong learning. Therefore, we need to support them to develop training programs and materials and guidance documents to our members around the world to improve their standard of engineering education and ongoing professional development. And to support the professional engineering institution to provide this lifelong learning of their members.
Thank you very much. That's really very precise, concrete area, which we can also easily bring into our next phase, Malaysia UNESCO Cooperation Program. And also thanking you for helping UNESCO in many things, which we know you are evaluating some of our centers as well. You are making us proud as an engineer, and also for Myanmar to have such a wonderful colleague like you. Dato Ir, our mentor, the grandfather of our South-South cooperation, what would be the next big quantum leap for such cooperation?
I think as I want to follow up on Charlie's point, that CPD training for engineer is very, very important, because we are now in the digital revolution, and in digital technology, the lifespan is 2-3 years. So the engineers must keep up to date. When I was in Estate, we had the program. We still have the program of the maintenance of infrastructure workshop. Shahbaz, you yourself have participated in Myanmar, also in Kuala Lumpur on this workshop, and I would like to actually now to suggest, because under CAS, Asia Science Foundation had signed an MOU with the Beijing Technology and Business University to set up a joint venture training center in Beijing for CPD of engineers. I have been trying to advocate that we must set up a parallel training center in Pakistan, so that it's not just getting everybody to China, but under Belt and Road, it should be also a parallel sister training center in Pakistan, and using the China-Pakistan engineering corridor with so many infrastructure projects in all sectors as the training ground. So for this, I know that Professor Manso is working very hard with CAS. This is also a CAS initiative, but I would like Nasir that the Pakistan Engineering Council must work together with Professor Manso to get the Pakistan government to get China together with Pakistan to set up a CPD engineering training center in Pakistan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this is really a wonderful suggestion. So with that, I would like to first of all thank our 3 eminent fellow engineers Dr. Yee Cheong, our mentor for engineers around the world, our dear Professor Charlie Chan, the pioneer in engineering in Myanmar and helping us with many South-South cooperation initiatives. Dr. Nasir, certainly the pride of Pakistan, who has helped our colleagues in Myanmar and also in Africa. So heartfelt thanks to three of you. Let me try to summarize very briefly. I have to go to meet some young people who are interested in sustainability already. So firstly, this South-South cooperation benefits the country from where it comes by multiplying the opportunities by bringing many others. So the benefits are huge. Engineering has to play a very big role in sustainable development. Better equipped, better qualified, better accredited engineers are really an asset for the country where they are. As Dato Ir says, it will bring more investment opportunities there because the confidence of investors would be very high. We need to promote big ideas like broadband with millions of dollars and billions of dollars which are being spent in the right way. Engineers can guide such efforts. We can get rid of these barriers, these digital divides if we work together. But certainly we have learned from here, the efforts are not like for a few months only. It takes years before we reach certain standards, before we achieve what we want to do. So the example of Dato Ir working for more than 60 years with the UN system and making sure that things move in the right direction for engineers and for the world, and bringing more South-South cooperation is an excellent example. Setting up of a center for South-South cooperation, also helping the broadband with ITU and UNESCO, and also bringing the greater UN system through South-South cooperation. And certainly continuous professional development must continue. And that's where we need to put our efforts into future. Big projects like One Belt, One Road, as have also been described by Dr. Nasir, with the efforts in Pakistan, the proud engineers there. Certainly there is a big chance for us to build more capacity. Capacitate our engineering universities like in Pakistan, in China, in Myanmar, in Malaysia, and many other countries. And with ECO Science Foundation, what has been mentioned, and hopefully we will have another session, we must continue our work in Central Asia. In Myanmar, a revolution is happening. As Dr. Nasir has described, the rapid progress which has been made by Myanmar Engineering Society, Myanmar Engineering Council deserves a big applaud from all of us under the leadership of Professor Charlie, and also our very able all engineers in Myanmar. The university system has shown so much promise. The young engineers are so bright. Certainly there would be a lot more technopreneurship. There would be many more opportunities for everyone. As engineers become mobile, the world is going to change in a positive way. There would be better connectivity through broadband. There would be better opportunities through better infrastructure. There would be more jobs. And very clearly, Dato Ir, I would like to finish with this, and I'm sure three of you have taken us there, that SDGs will benefit if we have better engineering. Like with broadband, SDGs 1 to 5 very, very clearly, right from making sure there is no poverty, there is no hunger, there is better health, there is better education. And very importantly, which we did not discuss today, we should have another session on that. We can have better gender equality, and we can have better representation of both genders in engineering profession. With that, I thank you, all three of you. Thank you very much for linking with the UNESCO. Certainly, working together has helped us create many, many opportunities together, and we will continue to do so in the years to come. With that, I thank you and hand over back to Hazlan. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Shahbaz, esteemed guest speakers, and to all participants. Next session will be on knowledge networks and harnessing resilience against disasters, coming this Thursday, 22nd of October. Please don't forget to fill the attendance list through the link at the chat box and Facebook if you wish to receive the certificate. We keep this link open for 1 hour. For further information, please visit our MFIT and JFIT Facebook page and our Sustainability Insight Instagram. We wish you a good day and stay safe. Thank you, everyone.